A while back, I did a video all about the differences between American Dobermans and European Dobermans. And while they definitely both have their strengths and potential weaknesses, guys, it wasn't even an hour after posting that video that I started getting questions like, what about a half American and half European Doberman? What are they like? Well, those dogs do exist, and I think a lot of people want to know what they're all about. Can they really be the best potentially of both worlds? Well, in this video, we're gonna find out. Today's all about the personality traits of the half American and half European Dobermans, and every video clip you see in this video is gonna be of these half and half dogs. That way you can get a really good idea of kind of their build and their structure and what they look like in person. So hang on guys, this video is only a half and half dog day, no other Dobermans allowed. Now, what the half American and half European Dobermans are like to live with and to own on a daily basis is a really interesting question to me. And honestly, it's one that I did not know the answer to. So a ridiculous amount of time was spent surveying owners of these half and half dogs, compiling the results and running over the data. And guys, I probably compiled more information than has ever been gathered on these half and half dogs. So to learn more about these half and half dogs, I created a survey called the Half American, Half European Doberman Personality Survey. And I sent it out to as many Doberman owners as I could possibly reach out to. And honestly, guys, I didn't know what to expect. I was a little worried about how many owners were out there of these half and halves. But guys, do you know how many owners of half and half Dobermans replied with all the details about living with their dogs? 364. Yes, 364 owners of half and half Dobermans replied to my survey, filled it out in great detail. So I have some amazing information all about these unique dogs to share with you guys. And I think it's just gonna blow your mind. So the first question asked was, how assertive is your half and half Doberman on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being very shy and 10 being very assertive. And honestly, assertiveness levels is really important to gauge when you're deciding if a dog is right for you. I mean, a dog that's more assertive will definitely have a little bit rougher puppy stages. They'll be a little more difficult to train in general. They'll need more clear, concise, consistent training, and a little more headstrong. But there is some positives too. A more assertive dog is going to be more sure of themselves in unusual situations. They're going to be a little more steadfast with predictable behavior, and they'll be more likely to stand up and protect the family if need be. So the average rating we had on the assertiveness levels for these dogs was 7.1. So I think it's fair to say that these half European and half American Dobermans are moderately assertive. I think that's a trait we can add to the list for these dogs. So the next question was, does your dog respond best to positive reinforcement or clear, firm direction during training? And again, it was a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being positive reinforcement only, 10 being clear, firm direction only, and 5 being a 50-50 mix of both. And guys, it's really good to know what dog you're getting into, how they respond to training. Make sure it matches with your training style and what you're comfortable doing during training with your dog to make sure they respond. But the average answer here was 5.6. So like right in the dead center with a slight bias to a little bit firmer training, which honestly rings true for me, guys. European Dobermans tend to be a little bit more towards needing that clear, firm training, whereas Americans maybe are a little bit more biased towards the positive reinforcement side of training. But these dogs, boom, are like right in the middle, slightly towards needing a little firm direction, but that really rings true for me. So I think it's fair to say that these half and half dogs respond best to a mix of both positive reinforcement and clear, firm direction during training. So the next question was, at what age did your dog mentally mature and calm down. And that's really good to know because, you know, dogs go at different rates, and the sooner they mature and calm down, the quicker those puppy stages are over, the quicker that training that you've been working on with them really starts to set in and they get more cohesive with your family. So it's really good to know. And for this question, guys, I had a lot of responses from people whose dogs really weren't old enough and hadn't hit maturity yet. So I did throw out those responses so as to not skew the results of this question. But for this question, I'm gonna throw a graph up on your screen. So look at that. The biggest group of owners say that their half and half dog hit that maturity state at about the age of 2. And 27% were lucky enough to have that happen by 1 year of age. That's actually really encouraging, guys. Look at that. Actually, if you add the 2 year and the 1 year categories together, that's a full 70% of the half and half dogs that had mentally matured and calmed down by 2 years old. And that's actually really encouraging if you're considering owning one of these half American and half European dogs. So I think it's fair to add matures fairly quickly to the list of traits for these half and half dogs. So the next question is, how energetic is your dog on an average day? And the scale is from 1 to 10. 1 being very lazy, not needing much exercise, and 10 being super energetic all day long and needing lots of exercise. And this is really good to know with any dog you're considering, because you got to know if you're getting in over your head, and you got to know the exercise requirements and how much they need to really stay happy and content and avoid a lot of the destructive behavior. And I know a lot of you apartment dwellers are really interested in this question. So these dogs rated on a scale of 1 to 10, a 7.5 on average. And can we say Dobermans are energetic breed? I think we can. You know, it's interesting to see this score because European Dobermans are generally considered to have slightly higher energy and exercise requirements than American Dobermans do. So it's kind of interesting to see where these half and half dogs fall. They're definitely on the upper end, but it's not out of control either. But there was a small portion, about 17% of people who responded, who scored their dog 10 out of 10 on the energy level. And you know, I know these dogs are energetic, but at 10, man, my thoughts are with you guys. So I think it's fair to add moderate to high energy levels on the list of traits for the half American and half European Dobermans. So the next question was, how accepting is your dog of someone new that you're bringing to your home? And it was a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being very accepting and 10 being very suspicious of anyone new coming in the home. And this is great to know because in general, the more suspicious a dog is, the more socialization they're gonna need at a young age. But there are some good sides to being suspicious too, some benefits, like some of the protectiveness qualities can kick in a little quicker, which could be a good thing. But on the other hand, if they're very accepting, then there's just less headaches on your part when you bring someone new over. So the average half and half Doberman rated a 5.2, so right in the middle. Very good balanced dogs. I loved that answer. And actually, if you looked at the graph responses, there were a lot of them on both extremes. Some saying very accepting and some saying very suspicious, which tells me that this means socialization is very important for these half and half dogs when they're young. But I think you can say that about most Dobermans in general. So it's fair to add, I think, to this personality traits for these dogs that early and frequent socialization is key. So the next question was, how does your dog behave in new and unusual circumstances? And the options were, number 1, they stick close by your side, never leaving. They check in with you often, but they do explore a bit, or they leave you frequently and rarely check in. And this is good, guys, because it gives you an idea of how confident they're gonna be in new or unusual circumstances, and some other things about how much they're focused on you. This can help with the training, and also off-leash training. It can give you a good indicator of how likely they are to be successful off-leash as well. So let's throw up this chart on your screen. And there you go. Wow, way to go, you half and half dogs out there. I really love this breakdown. Look at that. Most of these dogs, about 65%, are about perfect in my mind. They check in often with their owners, but they're confident enough to explore around a little bit, which is great. And that type of dog is going to be great off-leash and training them with a recall. Now, the next biggest group, about 28%, is a group that sticks close to their owner's side and never leaves. And I guess that could be a good or a bad thing. I mean, if they're focused on you, then that's a great thing. But, you know, if it's a fear issue or a fear reason they're stuck close to your side, I guess that could be a drawback. But I don't think that's the case, because look at this. The smallest group, only 7% said that their half and half dog leaves frequently and rarely checks in. And that's a really good sign that's the smallest group, because those types of dogs are generally pretty hard to train off leash. Guys, this graph, if it were any other breed, would be so much different. That orange section, this section of the dogs that just wander off and just rarely check in with their owners, would be way bigger for a lot of breeds, trust me. And this is why I love Dobermans so much. They're so focused on their owners. And God, really, these half and half dogs are really starting to grow on me a little bit here. So I think it's fair to add to the personality traits that they have great potential for being off-leash trained, and they are highly focused on their owners. So the next one is how in tune are these dogs with their owner's emotions, and the scale is from 1 to 10. 1 being not in tune at all, and 10 being very in tune with their every emotion. And honestly, being in tune with your owner's emotion really shows a lot about the dog. It can help them pick up on dangerous situations by reading their owner's fear levels. They're usually easier to train, and they mold a little bit better into a family environment. And American Dobermans tend to be a little more in tune with their owner's emotions than Europeans in general. So I was really curious to see the answer to this. And the average half and half dog was rated at 7.5 on this scale. And that is really high, guys. I'm actually pretty amazed by that. And the most selected response on this was 10 out of 10, meaning most owners said their dog was 10 out of 10 and very in tune with their every emotion. You know, I'm not sure that a dog could be too in tune with their owners. I'm not sure that that can be a downside if it's too high. So I think we can certainly add to the list of traits that these dogs are highly in tune with their owner's emotions. So one more category I want to throw out there was just the comment section of this survey, because a lot of people left comments just about what daily life is like with their dog. And I went through all of them. They've all been gone through and read, and we looked for common trends with what people said. And I'm going to put them in order on your screen from the most frequently cited quality on down from there. And the number next to it is a number of people who mention the same thing. So that higher that number is next to them, the more likely that is to be true of the entire half and half grouping of dogs here. So the first one was that they just love attention and they're needy and affectionate. 44 people had a comment all about how much they love attention and how needy and affectionate they were. 26 people had their comments all about how extremely intelligent these dogs are. I mean, these are Dobermans. I think that's not very surprising. Protective of family or home. 25 people had comments all about how protective they were. That they're extremely playful, energetic goofballs. That they're social with other people and dogs. They're suspicious of strangers and only friendly with people that they know. 15 people had comments about their dog all surrounding that topic. That they're stubborn and strong-willed. Dobermans can certainly be stubborn and strong-willed. That they're submissive with kids and they love children. That they're eager to please, and that they're in tune with humans, which we did find out. Lastly, guys, I want to give you a few quotes directly from the owners themselves of these half and half Dobermans. And these owners are all ones that have also owned other Dobermans, full Americans or full Europeans, and can kind of compare the two, which I think these quotes really help paint a full picture of what these half and half dogs are like. Anakin, the half and half, is more strong-willed than my 2-year-old American. He has no problem roaming around on his own, whereas my American always needs to be in sight. Anakin is more headstrong and independent. He is brave and afraid of nothing. He is very responsive, but not as responsive off of my emotion. My American only ever wants to please me, whereas Anakin, the half and half, will most likely make the choice that benefits him first, but both are very loyal dogs and Velcro for sure. He is not as active as my full European import Doberman, and very balanced dog, one of the best of more than a dozen Dobies I've owned. And lastly, always on point, and she is truly one in a million. I've been with Dobermans for over 15 years, and I love the mix American and Euro. I've been offered $10,000 for her. Wow, what a great dog. I really need to point out, guys, that we really dissected the half and half Doberman here to really minute levels. And I think it's fair to say that genetics, individual genetics, definitely play as big a role, if not bigger role, than just whether or not the dog is American, European, or a blend of the two. Every dog is definitely an individual. As far as I'm aware, guys, this is the first time that this quantity of information has been gathered about specifically the half American and half European Dobermans and their personality. And it's just fascinating to a Doberman nut like me. So just remember, guys, you saw this info here on Doberman Planet first, and I'll keep bringing you this information that you just simply can't find anywhere else on the internet. As long as you do me a favor, just hit that subscribe button down below and a little bell icon that comes up next to it. Also, hit the like button and leave a comment down below. Let me know what your take is on these half and half Dobermans. Would you ever own one? And I'm gonna leave in the description of this video links to a couple cool videos I did. One's about the differences between American and European Dobermans, and the other is about the differences between male and female Dobermans. So those videos will also help you pick out your perfect puppy for you if you're still trying to decide exactly what type of Doberman to get. And thank you guys for watching. There's gonna be also a couple other cool videos that you should check out that'll be popping up on your screen right about now. See you next time.